Hey everyone, it's K-Red and welcome to my channel. Today, I thought it might be fun to do a live sketch. I was digging through I have like a big envelope full of erasers and rulers. And so I was digging through to find something I hadn't used in a while, and I found this one. I think we had probably in a previous version used a bigger version. And before I post this online, I'll try to find a, see if I can show this in the best way that you can actually see it. There maybe. I'll try to link one to something similar to it, if not this one. You can tell from the number of scratches on this. This is many years old, but I imagine we'll be able to find something very similar. And I thought it'd be fun just to do a simple random sketching. This keeps sliding on my table, but this is the pages that I'm using out of the sketchbook. It's a 5x5 by 8.5, so 5.5 by 8.5 sheets of a sketchbook paper. It looks like it's a 68 weight. I have found that recently I just don't enjoy it in the notebook as much. I've been pulling the papers out. The notebooks have annoyed me. I think a little bit it's a scratch on the table, and a little bit is just the change in height. So I already pulled out a paper, and we'll get started. So I think what I'm going to do today is we're going to go ahead and try this where we record live again. Let me turn on a little fan I have real quick. We're going to do it just as a live talking, and we'll see how that works. I've enjoyed doing that on the last few. So we'll see. We'll see if it's something that I continue to do. So I'm going to start by putting some arcs on the paper, and I could do it from the middle, where I could do them the circles like that, or from the edge, but I'm thinking I'd like to do it from the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and place it in a corner and then hold it with my finger, and then I'll just draw different ones. So I'm going to start on the second one up. It looks like it has the number 40 on it. I'm going to switch my glasses real quick. I have glasses that I use when I draw that help a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and do that. My paper's moving just a little bit, so if it gets too much, I'll put a little piece of tape on it, but for now, I think I'm okay. And then let's go ahead and give us a big one. So we're going to go ahead and go up to 60 next. So I try to hold the paper and draw the line. There we go. And then let's do one that's shorter. So from the 60, let's go halfway to the next one up. It has next to it the number 66. So I'm going to go ahead and reposition it so it's a little bit more comfortable. And we're going to do a close line this time. Oh, I actually broke the tip of my lead off. Okay, let's try again. There we go. So let's go ahead and go up to 80. Oh, my 80 may be broken. Yeah, there's something in that. Dealing with old devices. Looks like a little pencil lead had broken into there at some point in my past. So let's go ahead and go up to 80. See if I can do it. Yep. There we go. And let's do another skinny one. So this one, it says 84. And let's do that again. Oh, this is being very tough on my pencil leads. Let's go ahead and go all the way up to 90. So we have some nice variants. Let's give ourselves another big one. So this time I'm at 110. And as high as it'll go, which is the 120. There we go. That just gives us a little bit of start. We'll see what we do up there or what we don't do up there. We'll play that by ear a little bit. I hope you all are doing well today. Before I sat down today, I was smart enough to remember my coffee today. So that is good. I don't think I realized how dry my throat gets. And so now we're down here at the circle, the base. Not real sure if I want one that big to start with. So let's come back and do one that's much smaller. Oh, that's hard to do. Let's try it from this angle. I'm gonna hold it there and draw it there. One of the reasons you do pencil first. Don't ever be afraid of making a mistake. I can remember when I very first started, we had here in town a, actually the next town over, but in the next town over there was a Zentangle instructor. And I can remember I went to take a class that she was giving. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but I found I was so intimidated to make a mistake. And I had talked to her some before class about my intimidation and my concern of ruining a project. And she went ahead and encouraged me that although Zentangling is about no mistakes, and it's about pencil drawing or not using a pencil and just going with the flow, she also encouraged me that it's about enjoying myself. And you see how this angle is different than that one? So I'm not sure I really want to use that line. I obviously started at a different point. I think I'm going to go ahead and decide to erase that and just deal with the bigger one rather than it being at a different arc, different shape. I don't want to start there since I don't know what I want to do. I am leaning right now. We'll see if it's where I end up. Am I in the camera? Good. See if it's where we end up. But I am leaning right now to doing like a checkerboard in there. But we'll see where we go. So, yeah, she really encouraged me to use pencil and to not be afraid of pencil. And I do use less than I used to, but it depends on my mood and how I feel. So I went and I grabbed a 5. I'm going to start by taking a breath, trying to relax myself a little bit, and picking the place to start. It's not a 1 through number. We have to start in a certain spot. So I think I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to start with something that's easy and that I enjoy. I've also challenged myself lately that because I am self-taught, I am not a Zentangle instructor. Obviously, I'm not an expert in mandalas. I am not artistic by nature. That I do all of this for my own personal relaxation, my own personal enjoyment. That I haven't really gone and learned the names. I'll go online, I'll see something I like, and I'll attempt to reproduce it. But doing these videos, I have kind of struggled a little with feeling like I should know a little bit more of the names. So before I post this live, hopefully I will go in and look up what some of these names are, and if I can, without too much heartache, put up the real name, I'll go ahead and I will add on the screen somewhere that name. I obviously want to give credit to the person who created it. It's just in my journey, in my drawing journey of de-stressing and relaxing and processing, names just haven't been important to me. So I'm going to work on doing that better. I think it's important as we grow and we move on that we continually work on different things of doing things better. Started this channel 10 months ago. I started in January, beginning of January. What I did for Christmas last year is I asked for a couple of things to help me start making some YouTube channels. I knew I wanted to get back into drawing, and I thought it would be fun just to blog the journey online. Now, maybe there's 20 or 30 people out there who are similar to me, who just do it for the joy. And I know I've learned a lot from others, so I decided to go ahead and log this journey in. So now that I've done that, I didn't go back and ink in my lines. On some of these I might, and some of them I might not. Sometimes I like for the lines to organically go together, but for this one I'm going to start on whichever way feels most comfortable. And because it's a nice short line, I was able to do that in one. I'm going to move this up a little bit. I hope I'm not going out of frame, but I need a little bit more room to be able to move my full arm. I find my lines are best if I can do them without stopping. Obviously, there'll be many that I can't. Probably going to want to do something within those lines at some point. Not sure what yet, so I'm going to go ahead and hold off and see what I feel like then. And I'm just going to go to the next thing that catches my eye. Let's see what that is, and then we'll continue chatting about what I call my year of learning. Let me go back and see where I put my pencil down. Here it is. So I think I want to do something in this big area right here, and I think I'd like it to be sectioned. Don't really feel like measuring. So what I'm going to do is put a line at what is approximately half, and then I'm going to do the same, almost like you would if you were baking bread or splitting up a batch of hamburger meat to patty or what have you. Just kind of separating it into sections. Now these are obviously not all the same. This one is obviously bigger than that one. And now that I've seen it, I'm going to adjust that just a little bit because it's caught my eye. But in truthfulness, I'm not going to be overly concerned. Just that they're approximate gives me a general guideline. And now I'll have to decide what I want to do. I like to do little things like this, and then you can put it down into a square or not. Right in line with that is something similar to this. It's kind of another way, if you notice that shape is right here. That's in that. Sometimes I like to do a shape like this that makes kind of a nice little reverse back and forth in that. And sometimes I like to do a sort of, now we're going to bleed into each other. Let's erase a couple of these. I think I'm going to challenge myself to do something a little bit different than I've done in the past. So those are my two typical go-tos. So let's see what happens. And that's all I'm doing right now is drawing lines to see what happens if I draw a diagonal line at approximately the same width all the way across. Let's get that eraser back. Well, that's kind of interesting. Not real sure where I'd want to go from that. I wonder what it would look like if these were at a diagonal instead of up and down. Sometimes I think because I am not a natural artist, that I just don't see things quite the way an artist would. I think there are people who have an artistic eye, there are people who have an analytical mind, and I think both are fabulous and wonderful. And I think we always want a little bit of what we don't have. So if we don't have a particularly artistic eye and we're more analytical, then we always envy that a little bit. And that made it kind of fun. Obviously, there was much easier ways to get to that shape. But I think I'm going to go with that shape. I think that's something just slightly different with these little going back in here. Don't think I'm going to do the line in the middle. I'm just going to, when I go through with my pen, go through and attempt to make these all the same. And then we'll see what I decide to do in this area and that. So I think I'm going to go back to my 5. It's one of my favorite size pens. It's just a nice little medium. I think I'm going to start from the middle out. Since I didn't measure these dimensions, they are not all the same. So I think my easiest way to do it is to work the way out in. I need to remember when I'm done drawing today to throw this pen away. Not sure if you can see on the camera, but it is definitely skipping and running out of ink. I do have another 5 handy, but I think for today it will be okay. I'll just let this be its last. Notice I went a little bit off on that one. I just felt it was a little bit more natural. See, you can see the little skipping there where it didn't really track well. I think it's the pen and not the paper. There's another one where I went way off, but since it's going to be the final one, I'm okay with that. So let's give this just 1 second to dry, just a tad bit. It doesn't have to dry much. Just about the time it takes me to find the eraser that I want. As we talk about doing things that we're working on and improving, I have been, oops, you probably can't hear me. I realize when I turn my head, you don't hear me as well. But okay, I'm back. I have found that I'm in my little spare room area that we'd set up for me to draw in, and it is absolutely fabulous. But I have found that I am not completely organized here yet. I'm getting there. It just takes time. You, at least the way I do it is I set the room up in what made sense to me. And then now the more I use it, the more I'm in here, the more I realize what works, what doesn't work. I think keeping an eraser in this little box. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this box, getting a little distracted, but this is a Zentangle box that I got easily well over 10 years ago. When I bought one of my first little Zentangle kits. It once again was a Christmas present to myself, or from one of my kids to me, or my spouse to me, something like that. But one of those, this is the orange pin from the last project. It needs to go back where it belongs. One of those gifts that you buy yourself because you know you really were wanting it. And I just have always loved this box to hold my pencils and pens in that I'm working with, because it just gives me, like that doesn't belong in there. It just gives me joy. So just to see the Zentangle box and such. So that's why that's there. But back to my drawing after my distraction in my pretty box. I don't know if they still sell it. You'd have to go to the website, the zentangle.com website. Name's right there. I don't know if you can see it. But it's fun. It came with a full little kit. So I have these spots here that of course I don't like. I don't usually like where my points come together. And I have the same up there. So I could darken these in just a little bit. I can go ahead and just shade in completely this bottom. Not sure I want to do that. I could put circles here and at the points. That's probably what I'm going to do to cover those up. I wonder what it would look like if I did that same kind of rainbow arc in between them. That looks kind of fun. And then I could darken in this space on top. So I like that. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I am gonna step down from the 5 for that though. I think I am gonna see if I can find a 3. I could do a 1. If you are unsure of your numbers, or your drawings, if maybe you're a little shakier than you wish you were, or maybe you, now I've lost which 5 it was that I need to throw away. Or maybe you're just not as happy with your lines. A thicker pen covers a lot of sin. So a lot of times that's why I'll use a 8 or a 1, because especially on the camera, they look much better. But I don't do these for the camera. I do these for fun. And I'm just making nice little lines. I think I'm going to try to stop right about here on all of them, so that I have a nice, decent area to block in. I'm almost wondering if that's a little too low though. Let's put one more in. And we'll just go down from there. I think I'm going to start on the top and work my way down so that I know that top one is the way I want it. So if I was doing this for, let's see, look at these are much more lines than those. I went much thinner on them. If I was doing this for something that mattered, either I was working on a project that meant something to me personally, or whether I would do it as a gift, or maybe for a card or something like that. Measuring these would obviously be something, But you can also, if your vision is kind of like mine, not 100% on some of this up close stuff, is they make little magnifying glasses that you can, not really glasses, but big magnifying lenses. I have one, I'll pull it out. I bought it actually when I was doing the diamond darts because that was kind of hurting my eyes a little. So it was very helpful. I think I'm going to go ahead and before I move on, I'm going to erase these lines so that when I darken in the top, it's a little clearer exactly where to darken into. And I only have to erase the top 3 because I didn't do the pencil all the way across. I'm going to go ahead and grab a 10. You know, I usually call it a 1. Actually, I'm going to grab the 12. I'm going to grab a super thick pen. And we're going to do this line. I went up way high again so that on my table, my arm would have full range of motion. So that's why it's a little bit higher on here. Hopefully you can see everywhere I've been drawing. If not, well, I'll go back into that year of learning and I'll figure it out. That was not so great. So when I made this line and I felt that like I was going to start to air and I could feel it coming, I made the attempt to air on the inside of the line here and not above it because I knew I was shading in all the inside anyway. So if I was going to air, I was going to air by coming in a little too much, like right here I did, come in a little too much rather than going up too much, because then that way this top line can still be solid and the bottom line is what's going to have the variance. So I think this is still too thick of a pen. So I think now what I need to do is go down to back to that 5. And wondering if you can see my up close drawing better too. I moved my camera somewhere else. So as I mentioned, I've been doing this since January. And last Christmas is when I'd asked for some gifts to help with the cameras and the tables and the, things like that. And so it's been great fun. And I told myself that 2024 was the year that I was really going to kind of learn how to do these videos, how to use the program. I used Final Cut Pro to edit. So how to use the program, how to position the paper, all of that. There's a lot of learning going on, and it's been a lot of fun. I really needed that. Something fun to exercise my brain, something fun to distract me. I confess I do enjoy the games you would play on your phone or on your tablets or what have you. But for mental health, those I don't think are always the best. I don't think they're always the worst. And I think there's a time and a place for them. But being able to have this little hobby of learning how to make videos, how to record, and in that journey, right now I smack a lot. I need to work on that. But in this journey, I made 2 decisions right on. One of the first decisions I made is that I would go ahead and record the videos while I was learning and allow myself the grace of it. And it maybe not being, I'm gonna put one more up there. That's a little too much. We give myself the grace that not every video is something I would be overly proud of. And then beyond that, I would give myself a full year to learn so that I didn't feel like I had to do everything right at the beginning. And I more than needed that year, probably more than needing a couple years. I think I underestimated a little bit how much I had to learn. So I think what I'm going to do next is I thought I'd just look, I don't really want it all black, but what if I put little circles right down here and then I could fill in black. Obviously that's a much bigger circle because those are much farther apart than the others. And on this one we'll do just a little bit to make it look like there's the illusion. And then what I'll fill in black is this outside area. I think that'll be fun. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. I think I'm going to stick with my 5. So I'd have a full year to do that, and that I would just be brave and post the videos, warts and all, mistakes and all, as I go. And so in that year of learning, as I call it, I'm trying to figure out lighting, and I'm trying to figure out where to put the camera. I still struggle some with Final Cut Pro, but I've gotten better at that. So I'm a little bit better at that angle of it. Still not real happy with my sound. I still got to figure out the mic situation. Still just using my phone mic, so we'll have to put some brain power in that. And I'm trying different camera angles so that you see more than just my knuckles, that you can see the drawing. So in this long-term plan of mine, that I thought if I was still enjoying it, and I am completely still enjoying it, let's make this circle a little bit bigger than I drew it in pencil, that the next year, I'd give myself a year of learning, and then the next year that I would really try to improve my drawing. Not really sure what that all will entail, whether it's some classes, or whether it's a little bit more on time looking, or whether it's just challenging myself to learn and do. I think the more you draw, the better you are at it, but in actually improving my drawings. Back when I was, before COVID, when I was doodling every day, I got much better. Just like anything else you do every day, you get better, right? During COVID, everything kind of got super busy work-wise, super busy life-wise, and I stopped drawing altogether. I'm gonna go ahead and widen that just a little bit. So I have definitely lost a lot of skill that I developed, or, you know, at least I felt like I developed a little bit more than I have. So 2025, as we look forward to it in just a couple months, will be a year that I'm really focusing on doing a better job drawing. Actually making the drawings a little bit better. What that means or how that looks, I haven't quite figured that out yet. But that's exciting. And I'll just continue to do these videos as I learn and grow, and hopefully appreciate any of you who have come along with me for the journey, and hopefully you're doing the same thing. Learning, growing, improving, all of that. So now I have to decide where to go next. I'm leaning towards wanting to do this next line up. I'm just not real sure what I want to do there. Not real sure what I want to do on any of them, to be honest with you. But on this one, I think what I'm going to do is this line right here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do some of those shapes I mentioned earlier that I so much like. I do think these look fun when they're in a nice long row like this, and you get a nice little look between the top and the bottom. And my hope is that muscle memory will help me be able to get these to be a little bit more the same shape. I'm okay with it being a little organic, which is a nice way of saying a little off. But once again, if you're not, get out the protractor, make some marks equal distance apart in pencil, and then as you draw, you can hit those marks. That's how we did that one right there. And once again, my thought is to continue this same thing that we've been doing up there. I think that would be kind of fun, but we'll see how that works. So where to next? I'm gonna pop back to my pencil real quick just to be sure. Actually, I picked up a different one. This is a really thick pencil, lead. I don't know if you can see it well. I don't know if you can, but if you can, it's a super thick one. It's not the one I normally use on it. It's the one I normally use when I shade, but we'll use it for this. It'll be just fine. And just position some of those. That's the other thing that we considered when we were in there. And as I mentioned, we always then have these great big, I'm gonna go back to the right pencil now. This one's nice because it's a super soft pencil, so it's super easy to erase. If you'll notice, some of these are a little bit harder to erase. This fine tip this 0.5. The other way, I think at 2, is harder to get all completely out, and sometimes you'll get little scratches where it'll embed in the paper a little bit. The thick pencil doesn't do that. So where should we go next? This is my norm for what I would do next. And then what if we did this? Inside it. I think that looks neat. I think it probably would have been something that's better up here because it would have had more time to be repetitive. Whereas here you only get 2 full ones. So I don't think that's what I want to do this time. We could continue it all the way from the top rather than just the inside window. And then again from the bottom. It does very much the same thing. But it does away with this inside line. That's kind of neat. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go to a 1.0 pencil this time. I know I picked up the 2 last time, but I want the 1.0 this time. There it is. 10. These would be nice bold lines. I am pretty okay with the spacing of these. So I'm going to try to stay on the lines. And then as soon as I say it, I go way off the line, but work in progress. So if any of you are following along and watching, I would love to hear what you do to continue learning, that you do for your personal mental health. I know, like my generation, being a little bit older, saying things like my mental health is always a little bit of an odd statement. It's not something that we really thought about or considered as I was younger. But I think we did the same things. I think the generation before us did the same things. They took up different hobbies and they did different things as they move forward in life, and life calms down a little bit. My kids have grown out of the house. I think I'm going to be brave here real quick, not to cut myself off, but I think I'm going to try doing that same rainbow in here. But I'm not going to be brave. I'm going to do it in pencil first. But I'm curious what it would look like if I mirrored it on the other side. I'm glad I did that in pencil first because I'm not overly happy with that. I think concept-wise it's good, but I wasn't real happy with the execution of it. So let's see. I'm really enjoying on this project continuing with this arc line kind of theme that we have going. So, but I don't like any of those. So I think on here what we're going to do on this is another Zentangle pattern. I always enjoy it. I think it looks sharp. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll do those in there. And that's another one that I will attempt to find the real name for, and I will do better. I think I'm going to get a notebook and start writing them down. Tanglepatterns.com, if you're interested, is an awesome site for doing some things like that. Because I'm still perplexed on here, I'm going somewhere else. I don't want to look at that no more, so I don't have to. So what if I took 3 of these? Okay. What if I took 4 of these, skip 2 and then going over 1? So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a point to shoot for. Skip 2 and go over 1. Skip 2 and go over 1. 1, 2. So this is where I'm going to end up. So I just do a little dot here, and then I do a little spot at what I think would be the middle. We'll fix that one. I'm not happy with that. There we go. That one I'm happy with. Skip 2 and 1. These definitely feel closer than those. I'm sure they are. And so we have little ones, and then we have big ones. I'm going to clean my line up just a little bit so I don't get so confused later. And I can have a little bit better idea of what it looks like as I decide to what goes into those. So what if between these I went back and did a circle very similar to what I had done before down here, and then we could have a nice little circle border all the way across the top. I always find these interesting too, because obviously I don't start off with an idea of where I'm going. Who knows, maybe next year as I go to improve my drawings, that maybe I will start off with more of an idea. But for this year and for now, it's a surprise to me how the project is going to end up. So I did that. I like those circles in there. I think I will go back and do that in pen. Haven't decided if I'm going to make this a hard line or not, so we'll have to see where we end up there. And I still have no idea what I want to do in this end, but if I was to guess now, I think I'm going to do a checkerboard, and I think that's going to match the checkerboard that I'm thinking of for down here. We'll have the checkerboard here, and we'll have the checkerboard there. That's currently my thought process. Good thing that's in pencil because it's way up. So what should we do next? I really don't want to do circles again in those. I don't think that'll work. I really don't feel like doing the arcs again. I think too much is too much. Don't want it all blank, however. But what if I did a combination of the both? What if I feel, and this would be a lot of circles. So sometimes I come up with these ideas and think, oh, that might be neat. And then when I'm over here after my 9,000th circle, I'm all like, why did I think of doing that? So have that in mind before you continue. You may not thank yourself later for what you're doing. We are at about, I don't know, probably 30, 35 minutes into this drawing. So it's definitely going to be another two-parter. So at some point I will break off and then finish it. I know my videos get long if I do them real time, because there's just a lot of deciding that goes in and determining what happens. On my videos that are a little bit cleaner, all that is cut out. So I may do two. Maybe I'll do one with all that stuff cut out and it just be quick through to music. And then that'll probably be, I don't know, I guess 15 to 20 minutes with things sped up. And then we'll have this one together that we can do real time if we feel like it. So, to be honest, if I was to tell you what's catching my eyes, it's all these spots that I have white little flecks down here. That is what's catching my eye. I'm going to try to ignore that and go back and decide what I want to do here or to pick the next step. I don't think I want to do either. What I think I want to do is grab this way too big pencil and line it up here and do a line straight down. And then I'm going to line this up the same. I am always a fan of a big clear pencil. It's definitely helpful to me, who is not only challenged with a straight line, I am a math challenged and I don't want to have to measure and do all of that. So let's see if this line is straight. I'm not sure that it is. Oh yeah, it is. Just looks wider probably because of the cutout in the bottom. So I think that's where we're going to go with this page. I think we're going to have these be this, and then I think we'll have something different going straight up the top. That'll be fun. So I just had that idea, and now that's what we're going to put down. But I do still want to work on this portion, and then maybe the next video will be that portion. So let's get to work. Let me go back to my 8. Actually, let's do a 1. And let's get these drawn. So the way I'm going to draw these is from the top down. That way it helps me ensure that my top is going to be right where I want it. I think it helps me to make them all the same design. Don't forget to move your paper. No, it's not my best. All right, those are fun. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do these circles, and I'm going to do them in a 1. Not sure if I'll end up regretting that. But my goal for these circles is to not only fill that space, but to become its own kind of line. That rather than drawing a line all the way across, these circles will create that line. Breathe. Slow down. I see I could feel it coming. I could feel my anxiety. Anxiety is not the right word, but maybe even adrenaline is the right word. And I just didn't slow myself down in time. But having said that, with that one being that, I think what I want to do is darken the circle rather than the space around it. Now I could have left a white spot in each of these, and I may wish I had at some point, but I didn't feel like it. I really just felt, like I said, that these circles become the line. As if the boo-boo never happened. Okay, so there, I like that. That kind of gives me the effect that I was looking for. It does make the lines here seem very small. That's all right. I think I'm okay with that. I think I am going to go ahead and come in and do this as a checkerboard. I think the decision's been made. So I'm going to start by making boxes that are hopefully close to the same size. My goal is to follow that pencil line, and I'm not afraid to go down into the row below it because we have that solid space below it. Let's clean that up a little bit while we're here. All right, now so far I've only got a couple little pin marks on my desk here. What I can do if it bothers me, I can put a bigger piece of paper underneath it, because when you get to these edges your pin will go off. I also don't mind a table looking like it's been used, looking like there's some pins on it. So we'll see how I feel on that, but for now that's where I am. I am going to clean up this just a little bit because it's making me crazy. Be very careful when you clean up. I often make things worse instead of better. So just be careful with that. That helps me a little bit. All right, I like that. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to get a smaller ruler and my pencil and my eraser. I'm going to start by getting my 12 pencil or pen, not pencil, pen, and I'm going to make my arc. There we go. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with my little pencil. I'm going to continue this line straight down. So I have a spot that somewhat aligns. And then because I want these done, I have this kind of ridge here. I'm going to line that ridge up. And that's how I'm going to measure my lines. That one actually works. I'm going to turn it around so I can still use the same ridge. How I'm going to get my lines to be the same length without having to measure marks. I do hate that. So I don't have lines going this way, so I'm just going to pick a corner. I usually like to pick one. It's hard to make it straight, so sometimes I'll go to the end of the ruler, make sure the end is lined up here. Once it is, then I can make my line down, and then hopefully it will be, let's turn it back around so I can continue doing that. I'm using that same ledge, so they're going to be somewhat squares. This ruler is ancient and has a bunch of little nicks on it, so it's a little bit of a wavy line, but that will work just fine. So now I have my squares here, and I have my squares here. So there's different things we can do. In every other one, we can do a dash, almost like a way of a shading so that we're not filling it in completely black. I think I like that idea better than the black. So we would do the same thing here and just do it like that. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So for down here, I'm gonna use a 5. Up there, I'll probably use a 1. So let's start by making the lines. Now I could get the ruler back, but I am relatively okay on lines, my lines, if they're short. As I go off quite a bit on that one. But you could just go back with the ruler and then they would be perfect. I'm going to start by going across. And then I'm going to fill them in. The reason I like to do one line through them is it helps me to keep them all going the same way. Otherwise, it's easy to have them be slanted and not uniform. But it is also easy to do a wrong line, so stay focused. Notice I'm not chatting now because I'll mess things up. I normally try to go from the inside out, but I don't always. All right, so there's that for that now. So now I'm going to switch to a number 1. I'm doing every other one. Oh, I think I just dropped a ruler. Sorry about that sound. Alrighty. Well, this has become a super long video, so I was going to try to finish this area before I moved on to the other, but I think that's not going to happen. So I'm going to, in real time, keep drawing, but for the audio and for now, for this video, I think we should take a pause. Go ahead and call it a start for here, and I hope you'll come back to me in a few days. I'll post the second part of this, kind of just free random drawing project. Always appreciate you being here. I'd ask you to like and share and share or subscribe if you find value in this, or you think you know somebody else who would enjoy just a community of friendship and drawing and no stress and no judgment. So thanks again. Hopefully and prayerfully you're all safe. We'll see you on the next one.